The quiet hum of machines stopped. The comforting rhyth of lights and monitors faded. In seconds, the halls were filled with panic. Alarms screamed in the chaos as nurses and doctors rushed frantically through the emergency room. Patients' lives hung in the balance, and in one critical care unit, a small child began to struggle for breath. Her ventilator, like all other systems, had failed with the blackout. The hospital's emergency generator, its fail-safe for moments like these, had also malfunctioned. No one knew why, and more importantly, no one knew how to fix it. Each second stretched painfully as lives teetered on the edge. But across town, in a modest garage behind a gas station, a man named Klay Turner had just finished his late-night shift. Grease stained his clothes, and exhaustion hung heavy in his bones. He was not a doctor, not an engineer, and certainly not a man of fame or fortune. But when he heard the distant wail of sirens and saw the hospital's lights vanish from the horizon, something inside him stirred. He grabbed his old toolbox, a battered metal case that had seen decades of use, and without hesitation, ran. The mechanic who didn't wait ***. Klay arrived at the loading dock just as panic reached its peak. He was covered in grease and smelled like engine oil, but his presence was calm. He approached a panicked nurse near the emergency entrance. "I can help," he said simply. The nurse looked him over skeptically. "Are you at the hospital?" "No, but I fix things," he replied. "Show me the generator." Time wasn't on anyone's side. She led him to the locked generator room, where a crowd of staff had already gathered, none knowing what to do. Without waiting for instructions, Klay got to work. Once inside, he saw immediately what the problem was: a blown fuse and a faulty relay, parts he'd repaired 1,000 times before in beat-up trucks and rusted tractors. But tonight, this wasn't about machines. This was about lives. He worked with the focused intensity of a man who knew failure was not an option. His hands moved quickly but carefully, scanning wiring diagrams in his mind, tracing electrical paths with a mechanic's intuition. From his toolbox, he pulled a spare fuse, worth less than $1, yet priceless at this moment. Within 10 minutes, the generator roared back to life. Lights flickered back on. Machines resumed their rhythms. Monitors displayed life-sustaining stats. The little girl's breathing steadied. The room exhaled in collective relief. Klay wiped his hands, nodded to the nurse, and walked away. He didn't stay for applause. He didn't ask for payment. He just did what he always did, fixed what was broken. What he didn't know was that someone had been watching him. The man behind the curtain ***. From a private recovery room upstairs, an elderly man had seen the chaos unfold from his window. His name was Marcus Caldwell. One of the most powerful businessmen in the country and the billionaire founder of Caldwell Industries. He had been admitted days earlier for a heart condition and was among those whose lives had been saved that night. But what struck him wasn't just the restoration of power. It was the man who had done it. Grease-covered, unassuming, calm in the storm, Marcus had never seen anyone move like that under pressure. He knew brilliance when he saw it. He had built an empire by finding people with rare gifts, and in Klay Turner, he saw something extraordinary. The next morning, as the city returned to normal and headlines praised the hospital's resilience, a black limousine pulled up in front of a small brick house at the edge of town. Klay was sipping coffee on his porch when he saw it. The door opened, and Marcus Caldwell himself stepped out. An unlikely invitation ***. "Klay Turner?" Marcus said, his voice smooth, his suit immaculate. Klay stood, cautious but curious. "That's me." "I want to thank you," Marcus said. "You saved my life last night. I owe you a debt I'm not sure I can repay. But I'd like to try." Klay shook his head. "I was just doing what anyone would do." "No," Marcus replied. "You did what almost no one could. And I think the world needs more of that." He extended an invitation, to come with him to Caldwell Industries headquarters. "There's something I want to show you," he said. "And something I think you're meant to be part of." Klay hesitated. He had never left his small town. He fixed trucks, not corporations. But something about Marcus's tone, it felt like a door was opening. He grabbed his jacket and climbed into the limousine. A new world ***. The ride through the city felt like stepping into another reality. Towering glass buildings rose like mountains around them. Klay had never seen the headquarters of Caldwell Industries before, but he had heard the name, associated with everything from energy research to artificial intelligence. Inside, the building was alive with motion. Marble floors gleamed. Glass walls reflected sunlight like fire. People in lab coats and business suits hurried with purpose. Marcus led him to a secure floor, the innovation lab. Behind a sealed door was a room that looked more like the set of a science fiction film than a workspace. Prototypes, 3D models, robotic arms, clean energy reactors. Every corner buzzed with invention. "I want you to work here," Marcus said. "We're developing technologies to revolutionize global energy systems. But our machines are complex, delicate, prone to fail when stress is high. We need someone like you. Someone who can see beyond the surface. Someone who stays calm when everything is falling apart." Klay's jaw dropped. "I fix cars and air conditioners. I'm not a scientist." Marcus smiled. "No. You're better. You're a fixer. And that's a talent you can't teach." The fire within ***. Klay agreed to stay. At first, he felt out of place among the engineers with advanced degrees and years of experience. But soon, his instincts began to shine. Where others followed blueprints, Klay saw solutions. He didn't need fancy jargon, he understood the language of machines through feel and sound. His colleagues doubted him at first. Some mocked his blue-collar background. But results silenced them. Then came the test. Weeks into his training, the hospital called again. Another blackout. This time, the failure was in a new system, a high-tech backup grid designed by one of Caldwell's contractors. It had failed spectacularly. Klay stepped forward. Marcus didn't hesitate. "This is your moment." Back at the hospital, Klay dove into the machinery. It was unlike anything he had seen, but the logic was familiar: electricity, load, resistance, flow. Sweat soaked his shirt as he worked for hours. The failure was buried deep in the code, an overlooked physical override that no digital system could repair. He found it. He fixed it. And the hospital came back to life again. This time, the medical staff knew his name. Recognition and revelation ***. When he returned to Caldwell Industries, a crowd of engineers greeted him with applause. The man they had doubted had become a legend. Marcus introduced him as the lead of a new elite task force, one focused on emergency response and technological resilience. "You've earned this," Marcus told him. "Your hands saved lives. Now we'll put them to work saving millions more." Klay was given a lab of his own, a team, and resources he never dreamed of. He returned to his small town only on weekends now, where his old garage stood as a quiet reminder of where it all began. He didn't change who he was. He just grew into who he was meant to be. The blackout secret ***. Months later, Klay uncovered a shocking truth. The blackout that nearly killed Marcus and others was not a simple failure. It had been caused by a design flaw overlooked by the original developers, a flaw that could have affected thousands of hospitals using the same backup systems. Because of Klay's fix, engineers were able to locate and patch the flaw worldwide. He had not just saved lives that night. He had prevented a catastrophe. Legacy of the quiet hero ***. Klay Turner never sought fame. But it found him anyway. He was featured in national news, honored at conferences, and even invited to speak at engineering schools, not for his education, but for his intuition, heart and hands. Still, he always insisted, "I'm just a mechanic." But Marcus Caldwell knew better. And so did everyone else who came to rely on the systems Klay helped create. In time, Klay founded a non-profit with Marcus's help, training young people from underprivileged communities in mechanical and electrical repair, teaching them that brilliance isn't found in degrees or titles, but in the courage to act when others hesitate.